Okay, so this is my first video. It's time for questions from my students. This week's question is, what do you wish you knew before you started working? Great question. Definitely the first thing I wish I'd known about was 10Ks. 10Ks are the annual filing for any publicly traded company. And basically you have to file with the federal government every year, sometimes quarterly, on things that are important to your business. So if you're a publicly traded company, this file is available in the US at least. And this basically tells you risks, acquisitions, interesting things that are happening, things that they're worried about, revenue reporting, all sorts of things that are important to investors. And since you're getting a job there, or hopefully getting a job there, you're sort of investing in them as well. So it's great stuff for questions in the interview, ask them about new acquisitions or some of the new strategy that's happening. It's a great piece of information to have going into an interview. The second thing I wish I knew about was called managing up. Managing up means that you're thinking strategically about the conversations you're going to have with your manager. Different managers work in different ways, but you should be thinking about how you communicate with them and not just bringing them problems, but bringing them solutions. So for example, if you bring a problem, you should bring a proposed solution as well. They're not there to fix all your problems, but they are there to guide you in that solution process. So one thing I wish I learned how to do earlier was managing up. The third thing I wish I had known about was deciding what I don't do. So what you do for a job can be variable and change over time, and you may have a lot of different job titles. Deciding what you don't do is probably more important. It guides you away from disaster. So if you're not a creative person and you're asked for feedback on a creative project, you don't have to give feedback because your feedback might not be valid if you don't understand everything that went into the project. The fourth thing is avoiding scarcity thinking. Organizations that are under a lot of pressure, they tend to become much more intense and they're like being backed into a corner. So if you think in a scarce mentality, you think that someone else has to lose for you to win. That's not a great place to be if you're trying to be innovative and change the way the world works. The fifth thing is taking responsibility for IT. Not your computer necessarily, but if you're giving presentations, for example, you're definitely going to want to have all the different types of cords or connectors that you need for any given scenario. You can pick up one of these things for around $8 on Amazon, and it'll work across HDMI, VGA, or mini DisplayPort. Whatever hookup they have to their projector or TV, you should be able to handle that, not expect that everyone's on the same system as you. The next two are about avoiding certain kinds of people. The first one to avoid is people who don't have a lifelong learning mentality. If you have a lifelong learning mentality, it means that you are willing to update your skills and learn new things consistently. You don't think that just because you finished college that you're done learning. Those people that don't have that mentality tend to get really, really stuck in their ways and don't really work well with others. The second one to avoid is haters. You're gonna get them, they're gonna happen no matter what you do. Not all feedback is valid. So avoiding haters in general is gonna make you happier and honestly gets them out of your way. The eighth thing is cover letters. I don't know why I ever bothered with any of these cover letters, and a lot of career development people think they're really important. I have yet to see an employer that actually reads them. A lot of people think it's a way to contextualize your resume. If they're not reading them, why bother? The ninth thing is become ridiculously good at something. One of the problems that I've found with people that I've worked with is they think the more generic their approach is, the safer it is. And the fact is, it's just useless. Get really, really good at something, and especially the intersection of two things. If you can become good at two things where they intersect and become the best there is, you'll always be indispensable to an organization. The last one is probably the most important one, and it's called taking an improv class or a Toastmasters class. Learning to present and communicate your ideas is really important as you go along through your career. When you take an improv class, you get very good at thinking on your feet in front of large amounts of people. You don't get too many chances to practice this. Improv is probably the best and fun way to do that. So there you go. There's the 10 things I wish I knew before I started working. If you have any questions or you have anything you'd like to add or questions you'd like me to answer, put them in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.